Well, welcome to the mobile edition of Glitch. Well, not happy hour. Even though we're at Wine Styles, it's our Tech Tuesday Q&A, and so you'll hear a little bit more in the background. You'll hear all sorts of stuff, but we decided to celebrate on location, and the people at Wine Styles were just nice enough to allow us to use the space while we did that. So hopefully you guys have some questions and we can answer those live on the air. So pop that up there. Hi, Mom. I'm going to go ahead and switch over. Sorry, we didn't have the countdown like we normally do. But again, I don't think it matters. You know? And I'm going to hook this up. That's what we get for running late on location. Let me know if you can hear me okay. Or if you hear just a bunch of buzzing. That'd be good to know. Say, anyone else out there? I know Tiernan said he was going to have some questions online, but I don't see him on there. So, for all of you guys who maybe are new to the show, I'm Glitch, aka Brian. We'll pop this up so you can kind of see it. Maybe a little introduction. You know, that I'm Glitch, aka Brian, and this is Glitch 2600, which is one of these days we'll get into how that name came about. But this is our Tech Tuesdays. You can ask your questions and we'll answer them live on air. You can also email them in or go on our Facebook page or YouTube and ask your questions there. We'll find them and then answer them for you if you're catching this on the replay. But we also have our Glitch Bits and Bytes. Bits are little 2 to 5 minute mini topics where we cover different geek and technology, issues like how to turn on text forwarding and different things like that on your cell phone. If you're on an Apple device, how to control your Dropbox. Little quick, hit questions and answers where, we're just training you little bits. Where bites are in-depth, 20 minutes or more episodes where we might go into everything you need to know to purchase and get the right wireless router. Like, what is Wi-Fi 6? What is, a mesh? Internet of Things. The more devices you have at home, what does that mean for your setup? So those are our bites. And then we have our Glitch Happy Hour, which you would think, because we're at Wine Styles, this is our Glitch Happy Hour, but nope. That's our different thing we do on the weekend where we cover craft beer, wine, not craft wine, but craft beer, wine, cider, and mead. We're actually going to shake that up a little bit for this next few. In the past, we've been doing, 4 or 5 different beers. And this time, we're going to be doing closer to our normal. It's going to be 3. And we're just going to add a little bit more to it. We're going to add a little bit of trivia, which we'll see how much we get that in this time. But we will be adding a little bit more stuff like the what is a stout, what's a porter, and kind of increasing that production value for that. So we'll still be having a good time because it's happy hour, and you can ask your questions there too. So you don't have to wait till Tech Tuesday for it. But we will be geeking out more on beer at that time. But again, today is Tech Tuesday. We don't know that it'll always be on Tuesdays, so we're still toying around with the idea of just calling it Tech TV, or we're coming up with something. So if you guys out there in the internet have any suggestion for a name, I used to do some stuff with Tech TV, which is why we joked around about Tech TV. But if you guys have an idea for a name, for our Tech Tuesday Q&A as opposed to it being Tuesday, we're definitely open and would love your help, and we'll give you credit for coming up with a really cool name for us. Well, thank you, Sandy. I'm glad. I'm getting a little flustered because I had to set up. We literally decided and messaged Brian, the other Brian who owns Wine Styles, franchise owner, if we could come in here and do this just a few minutes before we went live. That's why we were a couple minutes late, but came here, set up everything on the fly, and that's what we had to do. But so I'm getting a little flustered, but I'm getting it back for fun. I'm just going to show you guys our crazy on location setup and how how lightweight it is. So I'm going to switch to the iPad. We're going to use that for the big camera. And we're just going to switch over. So let me go like this. Oh, not that one, but maybe that one. And you guys can kind of see we're running off a laptop, a mini GoPro, microphone, and books. I didn't even have time to build a little sound shell around this microphone, so you guys are probably hearing a little bit more in the background than we normally would, but I just wanted to show you guys that's the fun world that we're running right now. So my little mini GoPro setup and all that. So, all right. In fact, I might need to hook up a different device, I just realized. So we will see. Otherwise, I'll just show you on the screen. At Hillman Brewery, that sounds great. And love you too, Mom. For anyone who's curious, that is my mother. She's the one that gave birth to this level of geekery. We're also going to do a little shout out while we can, because she's going to step into the scene. Oh, tough luck. She's going to step in. We're all going to say happy birthday to Erin.
Hello, thank you.
Who's also the co-host of our
Happy
hours, our GH squared. So, and I was saying how everyone needs to help us come up with a name for our Tech Tuesday one.
Yes.
But I'm going to stop looking down so much. Literally, the camera was falling over right before the episode. So I'm just trying to get this as fast as possible. And I got to pick on Tiernan since he said he had soundproofing questions and he's not online. But that's okay, because we have other things to do for it. We're only going to keep this episode or time short today if we don't have a whole lot of questions. As much as I want to keep answering questions or coming up with my own for it that people have sent in, with it being Erin's birthday, we probably will keep it short. But otherwise, again, if you have those questions, just go ahead and post them through. If you're catching this on the replay, please go ahead and jump on and ask those questions then, and we'll catch it and we'll bring it up on the next one. And if you want to remain anonymous, just say, hey, I want to keep this anonymous, and message through Facebook. And while I'm thinking of it then, I'm going to switch on over and show you guys how to subscribe to us. So that's how you can subscribe to us on YouTube. Even cooler is if you hover with your handy dandy smartphone over that little QR code. They'll ask you, do you want to open that up? And then you'll say yes. It'll take you to YouTube and you just click that subscribe button. Otherwise, if you're on YouTube, let's do that in reverse, but without the hyperlink. Sorry. Just follow us on Facebook and type Glitch 2600, GLITCH, as in a cybernetic glitch, 2600 as in the original baud of a modem if you're a hacker. So that may have been a hint as to how we got the name. Now I'm going to pop that off and get into, I see we've got a few people on, so if you're new on the show, make sure you say hi. And again, we don't normally do ours from the Wine Styles, but we want to do a throw out and say hi to our Wine Styles people. And I wanted to have a glass of wine while Erin had a glass of wine off screen too. I see how she hid as far away so I wouldn't pull her back into scene as possible. But so it's kind of a mix, almost like a happy hour this time, but it is Tech Tuesdays. And again, I won't turn down any help coming up with a better name. So one of the questions that came up today was from the owner of Wine Styles himself, Brian, who wanted to know if I read his text, and I'll probably help him with it whether he walks over. We might end up covering this twice. But he wanted to know why, if I scroll back up to it, why, it seems that he cannot get text from non-iPhone people on his computer. So you might not know that on your computer, if you're an Apple user, you can get an iMessage. You can have your texts come through on both your iPad, your iPhone, and on your computer, which means you can turn around and text back. That works really, really great for anyone who also uses an Apple device. Between the two, you can see when they've read, you can see read receipts, all that fun stuff. In fact, I was going to bring mine up and show, kind of quickly, my son, or some of my friend, my mom there, sending me messages at different times, you know, you can go through and see that it's been read and all that, and I can keep these in sync between my devices. So with that, on your computer, you can do much of the same thing if you're a Mac user. But there's one caveat. One, you have to go into your iCloud settings to have this work really well. So we're going to flip back into the iDevice here and go down into our menu settings. And if we're first things first in our iCloud, you want to make sure messaging is turned on there so that messages is syncing with the cloud. That will keep everything together and succinct. But then also, when you come into your messages, you want to go down here and make sure your send and receive addresses. So the nice cool thing in here for your send and receive is you can have multiple email addresses. Yeah, I know. My Wi-Fi is acting up here. I have it on a different network. But where it says you can send and receive all the ones from, but where you start your new communication from, it used to be that your phone number can sync through to your iPad. So the best thing to do back then was to put everything on an email address. Now I suggest, since you can, put it all to your phone number, because people who are not on iDevices, such as Androids, they're not going to, they don't see as much trouble now. So start your new conversations from your iPhone. Make sure it's the same, across all your devices. And once that's done, that's the first major step that you have to do to kind of get this started. And I realized I didn't bring my lightning cable, so I needed that to show the system. It's okay. All right. If you have one, otherwise I'm just going to go like this and show it on the screen, which is not nearly as advanced as it should be. Nope, that will not work. That is not a data cable. All right. So the good news is you guys won't be subjected to that. You're going to do it this way anyway. That is not a data cable either, I don't think. We could try it, but I don't think it's a data cable. We're going to try this little mini thing. I don't think it's a data cable, but you know what? There's only one way to find out. That's the thing, is some USB cables are not data. They're only for charging. And when that happens, we'll find out. You'll see. I'll hook this up. I'll unlock it. And this one's actually amazing. It is a data cable. Even better. So we're going to go over to the iDevice here. And this time we're going to switch to the iPhone. And one of the cool things in here is when you come in, if you're wanting to get text on your computer, you come down and come into messages on here, and you'll notice it's slightly different. You'll still have the send and receive from the 4 addresses that I had and what all I want to enable them on, which some of these I got to kill out. They're not going to be there anymore. And I haven't added my glitch2600.com yet. But see how they all start from the same address. That's the important part. But the extra thing is down here where it says text forwarding. So what you want to do there is you have to choose the devices you're going to receive texts from. So I want my iPad to also be able to text non-iPhone people or non-Apple people. So that's checked on. Same thing for my MacBook Pro. So you can come in here, and anything that you sign in with the same iCloud device, you can turn around and enable. So, that's the nice thing about having iCloud, is that it knows the devices you've connected. So it goes, hey, these are other Apple devices. Go ahead and turn on. So most of the time this stuff would be checked off. You would just check it on, and it'll ask you to verify it on both your laptop and your phone. And when you do, that allows then non-Apple texts to come through to your iPhone or to your iPad and your laptop. And with that, then it allows you to send text to non-Apple people. So let's see if we can maybe show that a little bit more. So I'm going to flip around to another device here, see if I can get it up and running, and seen okay. All right. So you guys are going to see some stuff not changing on screen for a second, but I swear we are actually doing something on screen. So if I were to switch over to my brother on here now, he does not use, we're on my computer, and he does not use an Apple device. So it comes up green and his texts still come through when we were talking about stuff from the happy hour last week. But again, if I come down to preferences on here and go into messages, you'll see stuff a little bit different. And on here, you just want to make sure, same thing, can be reached from where, and that you enable messages in iCloud. You might have to sync it if it got out of sync, but then that'll fix that whole database and get you going from there. And you can still set where you receive from. That's in your preferences up here too, but it knows at that point, what's going on there. That'll be set in those settings, but that's what allows those non-Apple folks to get those texts to come through. And if I wanted to message them back, I could just say, in this case, we'll put a little test. Hey, bro, just testing out a text to Android while on Tech Tuesday. And you'll see it went through. There's nothing going on there. This is on my laptop. Obviously, it's not a cell phone, and it's just connecting through to my cell phone using the iCloud security framework to make a Bluetooth connection between the two devices. So there you go. If he writes back, it'll pop up on there. Of course, I won't see that he's typing or anything like that, like I would normally on an Apple device, between two Apple devices, but you get the idea. If I were to write Aaron on here, she could write me back and you'd see that showing up on there. That's just how that works. So I'm going to go ahead and quit out my messages and flip back to here so that we can come back to me. And hopefully that kind of answered some of the questions, and hopefully that'll answer Brian's question. He'll probably come and I'll have to tell him here live in person, but if not, he can catch it on the replay if he's not already watching on the side, which I don't know if he is. So, but that's a nice little tidbit that, the checking me to make sure people understand when you turn on your Apple devices, people don't always think, hey, I got a new iPad, I connected it up through. Make sure that the iPad and your iPhone use the same settings. So same thing for FaceTime, if you say, I'm starting stuff, ask this, or this is my caller ID, make sure that they match up. Most of the time, if you get a new iPad, and I actually just got a text back from Tiernan with him smiling, so he did get the text. But most of the time when you get a new iPad, the new setups, the new modern setup, will detect that you already have an iPhone, or vice versa. If you're getting an iPhone, you already had an Apple iPad or something like that. It'll say, hey, do you want to copy your configuration from another device? And it'll detect what you have around. But that doesn't always work, so I always tell people go in and just check. Go into those ones, make sure it's set to send and receive. Ask that, and to start conversations the same way. Because if you don't, that's where you get some of that weirdness where someone might go, yeah, every time you message me, I didn't see it. And it's not that they didn't see it. It's that they ended up with two conversations as you. So they go into their contacts and see me listed twice because maybe one started as my email address and one started as my phone number, and maybe they didn't have me in their contacts with the email address and my phone number. Maybe they only had one. So then one's in there as an unknown person, and especially an Android might see something weird there. Where if you just consolidate and say, I'm starting all conversations from my phone number, unless you're only an Apple, or only a Apple everything but phone, then you'll only have the email address option. But just make sure they're all the same. And then on the computer or on your phone, make sure that text forwarding is turned on if you want to be able to send and receive as your laptop or as your desktop. Now, if you're at a business, and let's say you have a Mac as your main business machine, now I would always suggest that you turn on different login profiles and set a password. And we can go over a whole thing on that in a glitch bite. Even a glitch, that might actually be a pretty good glitch bit, and I'll put that down, how to set up your login screen. And we can do that for Windows too. It doesn't have to be just, I might use a Mac, but I'm also a Microsoft certified systems engineer, so we can cover you. But with that, if it's a business computer especially, I still say home ones too. I have a password on mine and it locks all that, because you just never know. Even if the dog jumps up and hits the keyboard, I don't need it to all of a sudden screw stuff up, so I like to be able to lock it. But with the if you're using it for business especially, sometimes people will go, well, I just don't put a password on there, or I put a password on because they kind of make you, but I have it auto log in and it just sits there and we all share the same one. Well, that might be a time where you don't want to link in your phone on there, so that's where you would turn off the text forwarding, and probably just not even turn on iMessage at all on there. But I think even the better way to do that would be just to set up profiles. So you go into your system preferences on the Mac and make one for employees and one for owner. If you are one of the employees and the owner's okay with it, then one for each owner would be a good idea. But that's where, if you're the owner, yeah, definitely set up one for the employees and one for yourself. If anything, it just allows them not to really mess up your world as much. But you get the idea. I'm going to take a sip. Again, this isn't happy hour, but if you are drinking, might as well. Yeah, I might as well share which one it is, because this is actually a pretty good one. So it's an Oregon, so it's from, most likely, but it's not from Willamette, I don't think. In Dundee. So normally I like stuff from Willamette. So luckily it's not my birthday, so I don't get to pick. But we have an Arath Pinot Noir Rosé. If you know me, you know I love Pinot Noir. So that's not a bad choice at all. It is very good. Arath, for some reason, something about Arath always, they do say Earth Heart Arath on there. And their stuff always has a little earthy flavor to it. As I'm looking over there, you guys don't get to see that. You get to see my ear. Maybe I should just bring the microphone in close and serenade you all. Very close and personal. Hey, how you doing? This way. I mean, I could put the microphone right there. That might actually be, then I'm not talking off to the side. Harder to type, but I don't know if you guys care. But again, if you guys have tech questions out there, this is a good time to ask them. I'm half tempted to jump on here and pick on Tiernan and say, since he jumped on, it's great on my end. Text came in fine, and smiley face. Say, and then I'm gonna say, where are you with your soundproof question? Just teasing. All right, we'll see if he jumps on. Because if he does, we'll answer his question. Otherwise, I'll always answer those questions. It'll just be on the next episode. You can post it through. Because we do get a fair amount of questions in general. I mean, we could go on and on. As a tech, I get asked questions constantly, which is why I can pretty much just come up with them for you. But that's why we talked about clearing cache and why that's important last week, and we'll do an actual bit on that. I'll record one and voice over where you go to clear cache and why that's important. Like I was messing with a thing for work just earlier today where I need to sign into something called SSO, single sign-on, or SAML. And because it was screwing up, I had to go through and clear all my cache so that I could go back to it. Otherwise, every time I went to the page, it just instantly died. So I couldn't test the changes I was making. So I cleared that. But Aaron's mom asked questions the other day and said, hey, every time I do this on my iPad or work with stuff, it's extremely slow. And I go, there's a set of questions we kind of have to ask. It doesn't mean it's definitive on any of it, but there are lots of different questions. One, to answer your questions. Who am I talking to? Oh, I'm talking to you guys. I'm talking out to the world. I'm on live, so anyone who wants to catch on and anyone who's watching this after the fact would be who I'm talking to. I also am talking a little bit to Aaron. I'm also talking to you and other people. So, one, to answer questions depends on which question you can answer whichever one of them on there. But for Aaron's mom, who was having the problem, she wanted to know why things were slow on her iPad. And one of my things on there to start checking was to possibly clear that cache and which apps. So first question, whenever you go to a person and say, hey, this is being slow for a tech, we're going to first need a little bit more info. Because what's slow? Phone, iPad, computer. Okay. And then we'll say, is it slow on multiple devices? Because if you say your email's slow, that can be your email in your email server. It could be your internet connection, could be lots of stuff. So we want to know if it's happening on multiple devices. When it's on a single device being slow, then I'm going to need you to track back and kind of think a little bit in your mind, is there anything that you've downloaded or purchased in the last so many days since it started being slow? If you tell me it started being slow 2 days ago, I'm going to be curious, what were you doing 2 days ago? And even the most innocuous thing could be important. So you might not think it, but running app updates normally 9 times out of 10, heck, 99 times out of 100 are never going to be an issue. It's that little bit once in a while where there's something wrong with it or the type of app. Some apps do get infected, so you can get infected. If you download a new app, and let's say it's some type of security software on the back end, it could be blocking or messing with some of your wireless. Or more specifically, it could be doing more ad data, or it might have a background sync option. That's more likely what happens. So I haven't finished working out with Aaron's mom what's going on with that yet, but let's say she downloaded something like Dropbox in the back end. And now she's saying everything on her iPad is slow all the time. Next question would be, is it slow when you turn off your Wi-Fi? You think you can't do a lot of stuff, but can you go into Notepad and all that? Can you type? Does it come up okay? If it's only when you're on a network that it's slow, it could be something like Dropbox doing an upload of all your photos. One of the options in Dropbox is to say automatic camera upload. I don't necessarily like that. I turn it off. I'll use iCloud and different things for that if I want. But the other thing is, it could be your iCloud. If you've been offline or had slow internet for the last week, it might not have uploaded. Or if you haven't plugged it in for a while and had it on, it could be doing a level of background uploading. So that's why I'm going to ask, what kind of happened the last 2 weeks or last 2 days since it started slowing down? So the sooner you tell a tech that you're having a problem, the more likely for that window, because really, are you going to remember what you did? If you told me, I've been having problems for 2 months, it's going to be a lot harder for you to remember what happened 2 months ago. If you tell me I started having problems yesterday, last 2 days, I'm going to ask you, those parts. I wants to know, I'm not seeing questions you are answering. Yes, they get sent in to me, but I also mentioned that this was Aaron's mom who asked that question, so that one got sent in to her, which by proxy came into me. I got to pick on you, Mom. How many have you had? Just teasing. People do ask questions on here. Right now, I don't have a whole lot of viewers right now, so they'll catch it sometimes on the replay, because that's the nice thing about live. Yes, you might watch it now, but you can always watch the show on replay. And that's when sometimes other questions come through. I've had Nathan ask me questions. Tiernan's asked me questions. We've had random other questions kind of come in. Kind of like when I used to. So it isn't quite like when I had the radio show, where I was able to answer the questions because they called in. Now, Aaron got privy to. I was theorizing a way to open this up to where people could phone call in. Their own questions. And so you could come in and actually call in, much like I used to have on the radio show, and you could be live that way using Skype. I just have to figure out if I want, how much that would cost, if I want to pay for that, how I want to do it, and then whether people would actually want to come on and be partial guests. So if you think that would be cool, let me know. If you're catching this on the replay, reply in there and we'll look into setting it up and see. Because I used to love that part of the radio show. I used to love that part on Tech TV for Call for Help. Well, and the screensavers and all those. I miss Tech TV. But yeah, for those kind of questions and stuff, like I was saying, for Aaron's mom, it's just important to remember what you did recently, and that could be it. So look at those last few apps and see if it's doing wireless like that. That's where that answer of why is it slow is a more complicated question to answer. We have to almost ask questions to get the answer. And that's where it gets a little bit easier when it's live as opposed to back and forth. But we're in the early stages of that. So once I figure out what that problem was, I'll make sure to denote what we went through from a troubleshooting aspect on one of the Tech TV, Tech Tuesday, whatever we come up with for a name. Feel free to ask everyone around the brewery up there, Mom, if they have any idea for what I should call my Tech Tuesdays. That's not always going to be on Tuesday. I have to preface that because I don't plan for it always to be on Tuesdays. In fact, it was kind of a pain in the butt to hit Tuesday this week because of Erin's birthday, because today is her actual birthday, which she got to, I pick on her, she got to celebrate. It's only very fitting that on my birthday, literally everything closed down because of the virus. And then going into her birthday, everything opened up. My daughter was caught in the middle, and she had to miss out some. But they opened up everything for Erin's birthday, only for the riot stuff, which I'm not going to get into a diatribe or anything about the riots or anything like that. Only for the riots to give us a partial curfew here, to where she has to go home early anyway, which, you know. But it is fitting that it opened up. Mine, literally, we got up late, missed one part, and then everything we kept trying to do, they just kept closing, to where it was an early night too. So, well, I'm thinking of it. I just enjoy my wine, see how everyone's doing. If, like I said, if you're new on the show and have or new watching the show and have that tech question, like I said, this isn't our normal background, but say hi and we'll answer those questions live for you. All right, so soundproofing questions mainly. What kind of adhesive would you use to stick the soundproofing to the wall? Like 3M double stick tape, tack. Also, do you need it touching, or can there be space between them? You absolutely can have space between them. In fact, from a layout point of view, I should bring up my, I wonder if I can, I can bring up my drawing tablet. Or I can bring up a drawing tablet. Let's see here. And return. Let's see here. I don't have it in, let's see here. Can I go like that? Nope. Let me sign. Let me write. With that one. All right, never mind. I'm not going to draw a tablet on that one right now. But you definitely can have spaces between them. In fact, most of them come out and you get them in squares. And there's different types of soundproofing. So you can get just foam, flat foam, almost like this little piece here isn't necessarily flat foam, but you can get it. Like it's a flat piece, and sound will hit it, and it'll muffle it because, like if I stuck this behind here, you'll probably hear slightly different sound because it's not, sound waves aren't bouncing off the back of it. Which I'll play around and actually set up a sound shell and test it later. But you can have that type. And then you can have types that are like egg crate ones. And what happens is the sound comes in and hits inside and wells, and it's called a deconstructive sound. And then you have ones that are triangle pyramid shape, which go in opposite directions. And what's nice is that causes less pulling than an eggshell one. That's the upper. But a lot of people think, well, you got to cover like a whole wall with these little 1 foot or 2 foot squares side by side by side by side. And no, that's not entirely true. You might get better. So if you put 4 of those, let's say you had 4 side by side. So you made like a 2 foot by 2 foot. Yeah, that's pretty good right there. But if your wall is 8 feet, you'd be better off going 1 foot, skip a square right here, put another one here, skip a square, put another one here, skip a square, and kind of build out like a 9 pattern and cover more of that wall. And having space in between, because what will happen is sound waves will hit and then bounce a little bit into that and not come back 100%. And plus, then if you ever really feel you need it, you could put flat foam in between, for it. So you can get flat, and then you can get the edged, ridge or egg crate ones. If you go on Amazon, there's some really good ones that you can get like a whole pack for $40 and get almost like 8 feet worth. But you can skip every other square. Yeah, just like if you're 1 inch rigid foam. So it's whether it's flat or whether the front of it is kind of, riveted, or triangles and ridges into it. But to put it up, you have a few options, few very simple and easy options depending on the type of wall you're using and whether you want these repositionable. So, 1, you could use double stick tape. Just keep in mind, it's foam, so the harder you pull on it, it could rip that off. It's going to rip from the wall and from the side. One side has to give for that. If that's the case, you'd be better off using lightweight Velcro. So put the felt side on the wall, put the grippy side on the back of the foam, and you put it on there and it'll hold it. You can also use command adhesive picture hanging. And the reason why I say picture hanging is it's like 2 pieces of foam that go together. Or not foam, but 2 pieces of Velcro almost that go together that will separate a little bit easier. So you can do that. But I actually really like the Velcro one. If you want to get really fancy, what some people do is they'll go one step farther because they don't want to have to put up a whole bunch of them, is they'll get a piece of plywood that's 4 by 8. Space your stuff out, paint it, because then you can make it look kind of cool. So let's say it's a 4 by 8. So it's this shape, and it's plywood, and you go a square here, and you paint the whole thing. But let's say you paint the whole thing like a cool gunmetal gray, and then you've got this space one here. You skip one, put another square here, skip one, put another square here. Well, one, you could put little posters or cool things in between. Put records, something that makes it look cool, still deconstruct the sound, and it makes now a cool wall. But because it's shaped like this, it's rectangular, or more specifically probably like that, you can hang it using 4 bolts on the wall. And now it's movable too, so if you move somewhere else, you can move it. Or you can just use a picture hanging on the back. They have the ridge picture hang, where it's kind of like this thing here where it's got one hook that goes this way across the whole back, and then you flip and have another one. So if you look up picture hanging, and they have different industrial picture hanging, Walker Display Systems is a really good one. They're out of Minnesota, that you can get a system that's like that. I used to use it for the portrait studio where I would hang big photos. But you could do that same type of thing. You could get plywood, paint it, and the reason I say plywood is because it's cheap. Heck, you can get fake wall board at that point. They have the like Menards and the other places. They have that particle type board that has brick on it and wood, like almost like wood paneling, but they have cool ones that are made for walls, and they're 4 by 8. And you could essentially put the foam on there because the foam doesn't weigh hardly anything, and hang just then one big piece on the wall. And now it's become like a little art installation, especially with the spaces in between. If you don't put them right side by side by side, put that on there, it will be pretty cool. If you think you need more soundproofing later, then just add other soundproofing and make sure you turn it. So if you have flat ones, then make sure the next set are eggshell and put them in between. Or if you don't have egg crate, or if you already have the egg crate, then get the ridge type and put those in between. And the difference on those is if the ridge kind of goes this way, each one, then on the next time, turn it the other way so it deconstructs sound waves down. You never want all the ridges. If you have like 4 of them across, you don't want all the ridges going in the same direction. You want one ridge going one way, one ridge maybe going up, one down, just so when sound waves hit it, it knocks it in each direction. What's really cool about that space, whether you do it direct on a wall or whether you go that one step farther and put it on a plywood or something that you could paint. Like I said, you can always paint the squares in between and put your favorite colors on there. But if you have space in between, you can always hang something in between to make it look a little bit cooler in the room. And if you're doing this for like a live show, think this even in between. On YouTube, they have really YouTube on Facebook. There's one I'm looking at that says "Game Over." If you watch our other shows, normally I have little things in the background like a marquee sign. Why not in the space in between pop up a marquee sign, so you can put little messages like "Follow me here," and maybe get the one that says "Game Over," or a Pac-Man like we like, or a Super Mario, jump up, square on the empty spaces between your soundproofing. The cool thing is because those are irregular surfaces, they will provide a level of sound dampening also. So it will get you a little bit of both, and now makes a cool, part of your set if you're doing it for live. If you're not doing it for live, it just makes it a cooler part of your house or apartment or wherever you're at while you have that wall. Why not make it a little bit of an art piece? We completed our bar set not because 100% of needing it for the live show, but we want to enjoy it. So it's got some elements that are for the live show and some elements that aren't. The tech room, when I finally get that finished, we only moved forever ago. We'll get those pieces and stuff on eventually the tech room will get on there, but that'll have some stuff that's really good for the live show and some stuff that just makes it look cooler in my room in between. So I'll probably put sound board up on there, same type of thing, but in between I'll have cool other things. Yeah, I think you guys will go that extra step. One, I know you guys are both gamers, so that, I'm not kidding, on Amazon there's a really cool Game Over LED light up. You can put that on something in between, grab another fun, go in between. Heck, I know they sell, Twitch ones out there. And if you get one of those marquee signs in between, you could do a whole, like I said, follow me here. They've got emojis and you can change it all the time if you want. Heck, if you really expand later, put a little LCD screen up there, like a computer monitor, pop it up and you can have fun things pop up on there. It's just some stuff I've been thinking about. So I keep looking over. They're like, what are you looking at? So hope everyone's having a good night. I hope we're getting lots of stuff answered. And that just reminds you, for everyone out in the world, just a little reminder here that you can follow us on YouTube by hovering over that QR, or you could type in that address if you want. It's pretty hard to follow. It's glitch2600.com. So there's the spelling if you're looking for us on YouTube or on Facebook or YouTube. But you pop live in front and then /YouTube on the end. That'll take you to there, or you can just hover over that QR link. In the future, we'll actually be putting different links under the live anytime. I'll probably put out a kit. So when you want to know what I'm using live online, you can see all the gear that I actually use. So we'll put a link to kit.com or kit.co. And pop stuff up there, different fun stuff. We're also going to be adding a lot more things we're already looking today of really cool video elements to add to this, to try to just make things a little bit better and a little bit easier for people to follow along. I mean, the QA time is pretty much going to be QA. That's going to be hard to do a whole lot more there. but for the happy hour ones and for the glitch bits and bytes, it'll be a little bit more dynamic show. So, I mean, not that it's not dynamic having to whip up answers on the fly, but it'll be a little bit cooler for it. But, already I kind of said we weren't going to go too long tonight, and we've already made it 45 minutes. So if no one has any other questions that they have, then I'm going to leave you guys to it tonight. And hope you guys like the on-location show today. And definitely come subscribe. Answer those or post those questions on the videos. Post them through on the Facebook page. We'll get the email address up and running here soon. Post them on YouTube. We'll find them. Again, let us know if you don't want me to mention you on the air. Then just tell me you want it anonymous, and I will just message you and let you know when we answer it. But please, by all means, ask those questions. Keep an eye out for the other episodes coming. And yeah, we will. That's the most important part. And, we just really want to keep helping out and making things a little bit better. Oh, and if you come up with a better name for our Tech Tuesdays, would definitely would love the help. We got the bits and bytes. We've got the GH squared to play with the math side. So whether Tech TV for our question and answer or some glitch name for our Tech Tuesday or Tech Q&A, we'd love you guys' thoughts and brainstorming for it. So otherwise, have a good day, and thanks to Wine Styles, and one of the best places. If you have one in your area, go check them out. They're always knowledgeable. If you're in the West Des Moines one, come to West Glen. The owners and the people here are super knowledgeable, super great. If you don't have one in the area, we know a guy who does the franchising, and I want more Wine Styles to go to. So by all means, check that out. All right, so you guys have a good day, and catch us for the next one. And make sure to keep an eye out for this weekend's happy hour. We might kick it off on Friday this week. And like I said, we're only going to cover 3 beers, but it's going to have some other little things to it. So you guys have a good one, and we'll catch you guys all soon. All right, bye.